Oh, it's already live? We're live? So exciting. We can turn green all the way down, right?
Yeah.
You don't need that hassle in your life.
Nope.
Hey, Rob.
Andrew Bauman.
Not a lot of pre-game banter because we've been doing that for the last hour.
Yeah. We talked about the talk, but that's okay. I was I wasn't pressing for details. And I feel like since you have the most miles.
Oh, I did have a lot of miles.
In this trip, this holiday weekend situation, I thought you'd be the person to recap. And I kind of just fill in a little bit. I have something to say about food. I have something to say about, I didn't have that many beers. I didn't go out. I guess I'm a criminal for not going out for Small Business Saturday and Support Your Brewery Sunday and all that. Arizona is a wildly beautiful place, brimming with over 100 brewing companies. I'm Rob Fulmer, the Executive Director of the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild. I'm joined by Deputy Director Andrew Bauman. Together we cover the state, bringing you the best of what's happening at our breweries and beyond. Welcome to Arizona Beer Frontier. I didn't have that many beers. I didn't go out. I guess I'm a criminal for not going out for Small Business Saturday and Support Your Brewery Sunday and all that. But I think I make up for it the rest of the year. And I think we wouldn't have got this post out anyway. So it's not like we would have encouraged anyone to do that. So
Right.
Black Friday, I stayed home. I stayed in my pajamas yesterday. 36 hours approximately.
Oh, that sounds so glorious.
Well, we had some guests over and stuff. So, but if you will, Andrew, how did your Thanksgiving go? And where did you go? And how did you get there? And then sprinkle in some beer value and some industry stuff.
Beer value for sure.
I'm gonna open my beer while you talk.
Great.
So, when do you want to start this odyssey?
Well, my sister's kids. She lives in Portland, and the children
Portland, Oregon.
Let me start over. My sister lives in Portland, Oregon, and her kids, who are now adults because they're over 18, are both going to the University of Utah. They were both on ski teams. They're not on the ski team at the school, but they're skiing nearby, and I think that's why they wanted to go there. I have no idea, honestly.
Ski team. Must be snow skiing.
Yes. Don't know why.
I just feel like since you're telling this story, I have to keep you on track. No jargon, no.
Okay.
Make you explain things. That's all.
Yeah. So we're heading to Salt Lake City for a little family reunion, and Bonnie and I decided that we would drive because she had some time to kill, that she needed to use some PTO, and I had stuff to do anyway, so this is what we did.
I love a good driving vacation. Don't get me wrong. Yeah.
Friday, well, okay, it doesn't matter. Before we left, we did all of our shopping for Thanksgiving here in the Valley because I didn't want to end up with being in a grocery store that was either crazy busy or empty or not open. I don't know what's going on. It's a whole different world up there in Salt Lake.
Right. Turkeys have maybe an extra wing or...
I don't know. Eyes.
Double, triple breast.
No eyes. Beats me. So we went shopping before. Then we left on Monday. We got to Camp Verde.
So did you buy a frozen bird?
No.
It was unfrozen.
I did not buy a bird.
Okay.
Yes.
But you had turkey.
My sister got a pre-cooked turkey breast at Costco.
Okay.
And that was the turkey. And I heated it.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah. In the oven with vegetables underneath it because I'm fancy.
Okay. Because there was last minute debate, whether you could buy a frozen turkey and
leave it in a cooler, drive it up for 3 days. It would thaw out in time, all that. We just said not worrying about that. We had too much going on already.
Right.
So we drove up to Camp Verde. We met Brady, my son, where he handed us his bag because he's flying Frontier and he didn't want to pay $75 for a bag.
Right. So he was on the way to the Valley to fly out of the Valley.
Right. Coming down from Flagstaff, met him at Camp Verde, threw his bag in the car, and then we each went our own way.
Right. Was it like Pony Express? Like he's handing you the satchel?
That's right.
Okay.
He also got to play with the dog. So we brought Kai with us on this trip.
Right.
Went up through Flag, turned off, went to Pipe Spring National Monument.
Oh, I've looked at that place.
It's a favorite of mine. Yeah.
I think, you told us about that.
Dig it.
It is so-called Pipe Springs because there's a spring that people drank from, and there was a fort there.
Well,
so is it a state park or a national park?
It's a national park in cooperation with the Indian community.
Okay.
In that area. So the spring was originally where all the peoples of the plains would come to get their water for their animals and for their people and for their crops and stuff. So then, of course, the white man found it and put walls around it so no one else can use it except us.
Happy Indigenous Peoples Month,
yes,
by the way.
That's us.
Yata for all the DNA out there and stuff.
So that's what it was about. So yeah, there's a fort around the spring.
Okay.
And you
just went there to you camped there.
No,
you just visited.
I just visited.
You wanted to show Bonnie.
Yes.
Bonnie had never been there.
I loved it when I was there the time before. I thought I'd be there for 10 minutes, and I was there like an hour because it was just cool, and they had some hiking around and stuff, and it was just cool.
Great, showing someone in a new part of Arizona. I like it.
And we only got there 20 minutes before they closed, and all the doors were locked and everything. They looked at us like, "Oh, you're here, huh? Okay, all right."
They're like, those settlers are smart. They put a wall around this place, keep the riffraff out.
That's right. So we did a quick little 10-minute walk up. Like the main fort was already locked. All the little sub buildings were already locked.
Right.
Everything was locked. But it was okay. The main point was she wanted to get a sticker, so she did.
Oh, good. Gift store.
Yes. Yeah, the dog got a walk. That was nice. We could actually walk the dog through the whole thing, which most national parks are not super dog friendly.
Yeah. I want to say it's a monument, not a park.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should know the distinction between those two. Maybe I'll look it up later. But go ahead.
Well, one gets a lot more
Did you spend
money
any
and
time any time in Flagstaff? Did you any
No.
You didn't? Okay.
Zipped right through.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we headed over to Edge of the World Brewing Company.
In Colorado City.
Colorado City, yeah.
Yeah. So now you've been there twice, and I've only been there once.
I have some pictures for the YouTubes.
Yes. Great.
And
if you are listening, you can also watch on YouTube. You can also listen and watch.
That's right.
If you're just into listening, and you're
that's fine too.
You can have it on and just listen, but you can see these photos that Andrew's going to send me.
So we pulled into Colorado City. We're following the Google Maps. Turn here, okay? So we turn, and there's a sign that has, the little arrow.
Right.
That way to this, that way to this.
Right.
The top sign was brewery that way.
Really?
And then was post office, and then city hall, city park.
Do you think the Chamber of Commerce put that sign up, or is this an actual city function, do you think?
I don't know, but the guy who made the sign did some work on the brewery when it was opening, and he put that sign in this year and said, guess what I did? I put the brewery at the top.
Did you get a chance to call Ray ahead a time or anybody from?
I let him know that I was coming, yes.
Did they meet you at all?
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
So I actually turned around and parked and walked over to the sign to get a good picture of it because I couldn't believe Colorado City.
Right.
The top listing on their little sign is the brewery. I love it.
It's the only reason that we'd probably go.
It's so cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Although there was good hiking out there. We have to take advantage of that someday.
And climbing.
Climbing, yeah.
Lots of climbing, I guess.
Rock climbing.
Yeah, I got there and it was pretty cold up there. Like, cold.
Yeah, in the 20s, 30s?
It was probably still in the 30s.
Yeah.
But it got to the 20s at night, yeah.
For sure. High country.
When we sat on the back patio, Ray met us.
Yeah.
He was working on his distillery that just got delivered last week. All of his
Nice.
equipment was delivered. So I know in June I mentioned he was going to open one, but he got all of his goods. And he sent me a picture of that, which I will also share on the YouTubes.
All right.
Had some delicious beers. Got some to go.
Mostly classic styles, yes?
Yes. There was a hazy.
Yeah.
Porter, really good. And what I really liked was that I find many beers are getting sweeter and more residual sugar all the time.
Yeah.
I understand Americans love sweet stuff, but
They do.
God, I hate it in my beer. And he had none of that. Like he had a chocolate porter that was not sweet,
Yeah.
but just really, really good.
Yeah, the one time I was there, they had the Deschutes Black Butte Porter clone, for the lack of better description. I mean, that's what he called it. So, and it was just bone dry and nice and ashy. Like for that style is just wonderful. And then I mean, if you want to add some other adjuncts to it, fine. But that base is so solid. Good for them.
Yeah. The IPA was nice. West Coast IPA, unfiltered, slightly hazy, but definitely not a hazy IPA.
Right.
Yeah, lots of great stuff.
But I'll tell you, I looked up in that period there. Generally, a national park contains a variety of resources, encompasses a large land or water areas to help provide adequate protection of resources. And a monument is intended to preserve at least one nationally significant resource. So I guess it's like the difference between a college and a university or something like that.
Yeah.
We had this debate, and like we settled in on that we thought national monuments included a man-made aspect but it's not true because I think some of your natural wonders that are apparently just one thing, right? One trick pony.
Sure.
They're
I mean, like the Casa Grande house,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Is a monument.
Right.
Because you can't make a whole park out of one house.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if they had like some, natural wild areas around it that needed preservation, then it could be
Like Saguaro National Park.
yeah.
It's a national
whole
park.
ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right. So the Casa Grande thing, if they had preserved all the canals and they were growing foods as they had thousands of years ago, and it supported some other resource, lake, river. Yeah. Okay. I got it. We got it.
I think we got it.
Yeah.
I think if we didn't get it, we're catching up pretty
please,
good.
Feel free to use these coasters, Andrew.
I'm trying. Yes.
Most
Thank you so
up-to-date
much.
coaster.
That's the Arizona Strong Beer Festival coaster.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
I'm looking up the Edge of the World Brewery menu so that I can share what their beers were.
Did you take any pictures of food?
Chances are low.
Okay. That was a thing. That was the whole reason for having a camera in a social media account, is to take pictures of your lunch. You kids don't remember that.
Well, between the dog trying to run away and
It's still very challenging to take
one
a
of
dog.
the tables was missing a foot, and we had a couple spills happen. It was there's a lot of
Okay,
We
I
struggled with the dog a lot in this whole trip,
Yeah.
but I don't see a menu here, so I can't help with that.
Well, just go for it, man. Just tell me what you had, because
the IPA on the
started out. They started with a pizza business, or at least a partnership.
They had a jalapeno popper pizza. It was a half and half pizza, actually. I don't remember what the other half was.
Crust.
Thank you. I was just a supreme with like onions and olives. And we were telling Ray how great the pizza was. He's like, any other feedback? Like, would be better if what? And Bonnie said, well, the onions didn't quite get cooked
Right.
through, and I really hate raw onions. And he was like, I hate raw onions on pizza too.
Yeah.
Like, that is definitely something that should not happen on our pizzas.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Sometimes having really super fresh onions, they'll be super fresh. But if you cut them or a more ripe onion, that kind of goes away. Like it, I don't know, like it ferments a little bit. Like if you pre-cut your onions ahead of time, just that little downtime will cut all that super undesirable for people who don't like onions
Right.
flavor profile for sure.
Allicin.
Yes. Yes, that.
Yeah.
It's in garlic too.
Yes.
Same thing with garlic.
Yes.
You can have super fresh garlic and people will react differently than if it's been pre-cut.
Right. Which is why jarlic is not the same as fresh garlic.
Oh, that's a portmanteau there. Jarlic.
Yeah.
Garlic, jarlic.
Yeah.
Got you. I like it.
And why are we doing this?
We're just talking about food, I guess.
Oh, so well, we purchased already peeled garlic, like whole cloves in bags, and holy God, was it so stinky that even before we left, I put it in a vacuum seal bag, and it made it through. But as soon as you open that, oh my God, it was crazy.
Well, so they're the ones if they're the ones I'm thinking of, they're in. There's like 8 cloves in a little bag, but then they're in another bag. But you can still smell the garlic once you open that big bag,
And that big bag wasn't a sealed bag. It was a bag with the perforations in it so that it could squish smaller too. It was awful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, you had some great food.
Had some great food. The pizza, the other half of the pizza was the jalapeno popper pizza. So it was bacon and jalapenos and cream cheese, little cubes of cream cheese sprinkled on top. And I was like, look at that, mushrooms.
You're making me hungry, and I'm going to solve my hunger problems with beer, which is not a great idea usually, but this is the Oro, Cafe Oro coffee beer. And this is an entry, so that's why it's in a bright can. So even though you can see it on the camera here, it's not very exciting, but it is delicious. Delicious. It's one of my favorite beers. So anyway, so you were at...
had cream cheese things, and I was like, oh, look, there's little marshmallows. And she says, that's not marshmallows. I was like, oh, it was before I ate it. She's like, that's cream cheese, dummy. I was like, oh, that makes more sense. True.
Right on.
I still would have eaten it with marshmallows because that thing was dang good.
So I have to imagine this is like in the late afternoon, right?
Yeah, the Pipe Spring closed at 4:30.
Yeah.
And it was about 20-minute drive to Edge of the World.
Right.
So 5 o'clock.
And you left pretty early, I would imagine. At least 9 or 10. Just trying to give people an idea how long it takes to get up there.
Yeah.
It's a good 6-hour drive?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Great. So you're ready to... Did you camp?
Then we went to the cabins.
Cabins.
Yeah.
In Colorado City.
It was north of Colorado City in Apple Valley, Utah.
In Utah.
It's right on the border there. We stopped and got gas.
Did you have to experience a time change because of the reservation and all that? Did you sort out what time it actually was any time that you were up there?
It was all the same time.
This time of year, you're fine.
Arrival to departure.
Great.
All the same.
Right.
Yes.
We're all the same. We're all in the same time zone now.
Ray mentioned that you wrote a poem for him when you went up to visit. Do you remember at all?
I took a song lyric and I changed it. I'm going to have to look for it now.
He was very happy about that.
Was he?
Yes.
I'm going to have to find it again. I think it was a Rolling Stones song.
He said, do you think if Rob comes back, he'll write me another poem?
Oh, I did. You know what I did? I did Van Halen, Ain't Talking About Love, because it's like, I've been to the edge and I stood and looked down. I'll have to look that up now.
Great.
Okay. Well, you keep talking. I'll look that up, man. I don't know, man.
We stopped at these cabins, didn't know exactly what we were getting. I did know I got a $48 rate for an overnight stay. So I was pretty stoked. And when we got there, we realized it's because they're basically, the idea is if you're a rock climber or a hiker and you usually backpack, but you just want a day where, maybe it's going to be raining or maybe it's going to be windy. You just don't want to do the whole live in a tent for today. They have these cabins. They're about 8 feet by 10 feet interior dimension. They have a little table, a little dorm fridge, and a little microwave, and a bunk bed. So a twin on top, double on the bottom. And that's about all the space there is in that entire thing.
Right.
So
it's kind of like glamping, but it wasn't very glamorous.
Not glamorous.
Another portmanteau.
It's very nice. Yeah, another portmanteau.
Yeah. Good. Glamorous camping, or something like that.
There was not a bathroom in the place, which is fine. They were right across the parking lot-ish area. It was very cute.
Yeah.
They had 2 cornhole courts set up. They had a kids' playground area. They had a pickleball court. They had every one of the cabins had a little grill that you could use in front of it, had a fire pit, and they sold firewood at the front store for like $5 for a whole bundle. Super easy, super cool. They had a little general store. Just use a code to get in, take whatever you want, honor system, Venmo, QR code. If you take a candy bar, Venmo us $2 or whatever it is. So yeah,
I love those kind of things.
it was neat. It
There's
was really
a
cool.
where was that? There's a place around Tombstone where the guy sells rattlesnake wallets and belts and all that stuff. And you're out in the middle of nowhere. And in this case, you're like, that guy's on that hill with a scope, doesn't he? It's like, because if you buy a wallet, you're supposed to put the money in the box. No, there's no, QR codes or any of that stuff. And like, the interesting thing is, I don't know if he's still there, but like when you buy the wallet, a wallet in particular, there's a crisp $1 bill already in the wallet. So then you're like, do I include the $1 bill? Do I give him back his crisp $1 bill? So it's
Right.
it's a very, and then like, he's got a gun on me. He's trained on me from like, no, it's all good. It's just funny.
Yeah, and it got really cold, but there was a little space heater, and we stayed warm, and dog was up on the bed, and we were all squished together, and Bonnie was in the corner up against the wall. Almost everyone there had dogs. That was cool. And then we moved on, and Google Maps took me through a dirt road that I was really surprised. Like, for me, that would be a standard thing for me to do, but I didn't think Google Maps would take me to a little off-road adventure.
Yeah, sometimes it does. Yeah.
It was cool. I wouldn't have had an opportunity to really go off-roading if that hadn't happened. So, yay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Then we, that was a little cut through to get close to Zion National Park. And we did that. And we drove through there the next day. And then we got to Bryce Canyon where we were staying. We didn't spend much time in Zion because, first off, it was before 11 when anything opened.
Right.
So there was a coffee shop open, but no restaurants or whatever. I would like to have maybe stayed, but we just zipped through. And then we drove to Bryce Canyon.
Nice.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time getting out of the car and taking pictures and looking around and stuff like that at Bryce Canyon.
Well, I found the little post I did.
Awesome.
Jesus, 2018.
You're going to have to sing it.
Well, I don't know. This is David Lee Roth. I don't really have the chops for that.
Oh.
And I had chops in this photo.
Yeah.
It's the song Ain't Talking About Love.
Is that Ray? Because that doesn't even look like him.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a part in the Ain't Talking About Love. I think I'll try to like put a little bit on underneath when we actually send this out, but not enough to get in trouble with the YouTube police and all that. But it's like, I've been to the edge, and then he's saying, I've been to the edge, and I stood and looked around, that kind of thing. And I met some new friends there, baby. I had some time to mess around. If you want it, they got beer there, baby. Got to get their beard there, baby. Got to get their beard there, baby. Hey, got to get their beard. You got to get the beard now, baby. That kind of thing. And instead of Ain't Talking About Love, it's Ain't Talking About Jeffs. The Warrens aren't here anymore. Ain't talking about Jeffs, just like I told you before. Yeah. All right. I'll have to work on that.
I realized on our way home yesterday that we neglected to go to the Buckskin Tavern with Arizona's longest bar.
That's true.
I
That
was
also
so
came up.
Sad.
That also came up in my discussions about. I should have given you a heads up too. I mean,
well, I knew Ken gave me the heads up, but I just didn't go. Totally forgot. I was just kind of ready to get to our hotel.
Yeah, I mean, you got a dog too. How you gonna manage that?
Such a pain in the ass.
I mean, hey Bonnie, can you sit with the dog? And I go in there and drink a shot of whiskey at this bar. And
I mean, she would have been fine with that.
yeah, maybe.
I did that when we went to. Never mind, I don't remember. We got to Zion, and everyone says Utah beer sucks, but that's because they don't know, and they've just heard that Utah liquor laws suck, which is not necessarily true. There's a few quirks, but it's not horrible at all. Like breweries can exist. Breweries can have tap rooms and sell beer directly to consumers. Breweries can distribute beer. Breweries can sell beer, can self-distribute beer in Utah. So it's nowhere near as bad as a lot of the states in the South. The quirk is in grocery stores, beer has to be 5% ABV or less.
Right.
It used to be 4.2, like it was everywhere else, but now it's 5. And on draft, you can only sell 5% ABV beer. But what that does is it makes them make really good 5% beer, and it's really, really good. They can sell higher strength beer in cans or bottles at a brewery, and then you can drink it there. So why you can't just drink it on draft, I don't know, but, religion and laws are weird. So you can have a high-strength beer at a brewery, but it can't come off a faucet. It has to come out of a bottle or a can.
Yeah.
So it's weird. And then when we got to Bryce Canyon and I went to the grocery store, I could get beer.
Right.
It was all 5% beer. They even have 5% Kilt Lifter in grocery stores.
Yeah.
From Four Peaks.
Right.
Four Peaks makes 5% Kilt Lifter just for Utah.
Yeah. Well, it used to be 3.2.
Yeah. Or
just
yeah,
3.2. Yeah,
sure.
but
3.2, sure. Well, it's always 3.2 ABW.
Yeah.
Which translates to like 4.2.
Yeah, but they got rid of that.
They did. They went to 5
they made it, yeah.
ABV.
Because they weren't able to get stuff. I think the distributors there finally just said, hey, let's just streamline this a little bit. I was there about, 5 years ago. And because I was there the first couple of days, I thought this is amazing. I can drink twice as many beers now or whatever. And try all these places and do all these things. But, being there, when I was there for 5 days, and it kind of got old. And the problem for me at that time in my life, and also maybe at that period of time, is when they did have other alternatives to the stuff they had on draft, they went over the top as high as they possibly could go. So and so you stuck to the draft stuff and there was nothing to tell you that you had enough. So I just got overly full. And then the other side of this is because this is mostly a Mormon community that the restaurants cater to. The Mormon idea of sin is sweet and salty. So if you don't like residual sugars in your beers and you have a lot of food that's, in my opinion, overly salted and overly sweet, it just is a bad combo. And then we were got this great idea to go, oh, they have cocktail bars here. Let's go there. Yeah, that's all measured out too. So even if you get a shot, it is 1 ounce shot. And they put it in a glass like this. And I'm going to lose a percentage of that ounce just in the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, but I'm happy to go back, so.
I had some beers got some beers when we checked into our hotel after we drove around the whole park and had a great time. There was a lot of one of us sitting in the car with the dog while the other one went and took pictures and whatever. It was cool. Because the dog's not allowed on anywhere, really. Same with Zion. That's okay. So that all worked out, and we had a great time, and it was beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And it was not busy. People were like, oh, it was not busy at all. It was beautiful. So, and there was snow all over the place. So you're looking at this mountain, and there's trees with boughs covered in snow, all only on the shady side, though. So it was great. It was awesome. Then we headed to Salt Lake, and we went shopping, and I got some 12-pack. Oh, an 8-pack mixed pack of 4 16-ounce cans of IPAs. All 5%. And they were good.
Yeah.
We had Rooster Brewing when I was at Bryce, and I can't remember the name of the brewery when we were in Salt Lake, but hey, groovy. We managed to obtain a bottle of Screwball peanut butter flavored whiskey. That my friend Dean was like, hey, take this back to the house and share it with the fam. We don't need it around here. I said, okay, cool. They loved it. My sister, my mom loved it. So we had to go to the state store and buy a whole bottle because they wanted more.
Right.
But on the other hand, my sister also, her current only drink is amaretto. She just pours amaretto into a little glass and sniffs it and swirls it and sips it. Now she's changing to Screwball whiskey.
Oh, God.
I know. I like her so much. I don't want the bad things to happen to her like that. I take some blame myself. And the weekend after Thanksgiving, we had a great Thanksgiving dinner. Yay. I cooked it, and my wife, the two of us, it was a quite small kitchen in this Airbnb.
Yeah.
The two of us made the entire dinner. It was so perfect and wonderful.
I've seen these two work. They worked in our
God, it was
Flagstaff place and just cranked through some stuff. But you had the
Friday
reheated turkey.
Yeah.
And you made some salmon.
I made salmon. I also made a chicken dish that I hadn't done before. I just saw a recipe and it looked great. And it was some crushed tomatoes and some tomato paste mixed together. Add some milk, add some heavy cream, add your spices, add some Parmesan cheese, and pre-sear your chicken, then put it in there and let it cook. And wow, wonderful. Wonderful.
So as long as we're talking about Thanksgiving food, I just want to share the beer value in Thanksgiving for me has changed a lot because I used to beer brine. I used to brine and then I used to beer brine and you need a couple gallons of beer.
You started your turkey in April?
No. As a practical matter, I might go back to beer brining if I could get a fresh turkey earlier, because it does take a lot of time, as you're suggesting here. Because you want to, if you're going to beer brine it, you want to give it enough dunk time, and then you also want to dry it out a little bit. You want to rinse it off and dry it out so that your skin gets crispy. If you're doing a traditional roast or if you're spatchcocking, you have to get all the moisture out of the skin so that you get it crispy. If it's wet, then it's not going to do that. And the whole reason to brine is to put salt in to replace or to break down some muscle tissue, because if you heat up meat, it's going to contract and it's going to squeeze all of the good juices out. But you can do that with a dry brine. You can just sugar, salt, pepper, whatever herbs you want to put in. But I'm finding more and more that anything you put in there is really just for aroma while you're cooking it. Doesn't really translate to flavor. So if you're roasting it, it makes the house smell great for sure.
Right.
It's part of the experience for sure. But the reason I get a fresh or sometimes I spring for the heritage turkey is not because I think it tastes all that much better. It's because they don't inject it with all that butter and whatever they inject. Brine. Well, yeah, but I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's mostly water. And but if you've ever deboned a turkey or worked it beyond back when people used to have to tell you to rinse the whole thing out, which you're not supposed to do anymore. All that grease on your hands has been injected into the breast of the bird. I just don't want to deal with that. I'd rather do all that stuff myself. So that's the reason why I do that. But I stopped beer brining and I went to sous vide. I could go either way on this now. I might even go back to spatchcocking. But it just gives you...
Well, I thought you said you did spatchcock this year.
I did spatchcock.
Okay,
or no, I deboned and I deboned the whole turkey. And so all my cuts were sous vide. Some were with skin on, some with skin off. But you're not going to get a nice crispy skin if you sous vide, no matter what you do.
But you take the skin off and put it in the oven.
That's what I did. I took the skin off of one of the breasts and put it in the oven and made basically chips.
Yeah.
Everybody liked that.
Turkey skin potato chips.
Super crunchy. But, the beer doesn't factor into the turkey anymore. And it's if you look at what people are writing about and pairing and like brown beers, dark beers, I've just come to the conclusion, just drink what you like when you like it. And since I'm in the kitchen busy, I can't really sit and enjoy anything. So too much, right? I can't really reflect on it. So it's just whatever I have going on. There's only two things right now that I put beer into. And one of them is Brussels sprouts, because Brussels sprouts have gotten progressively sweeter. Mm-hmm. They're not bitter as they were anymore. And like to the point
totally different vegetable from what they were in the 1970s.
Right. And if you notice, people are adding more sauces to them, because the thing was to make these really crispy, burnt, roasted. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I do mine, except I do it in a wok, super high heat. But people are putting like aioli on it and sweet things too, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they're just too sweet. Even when they put the balsamic vinegar on it, like it's way too much in my opinion. So it's like a dessert almost, And I think that's the way that U.S. Foods and all those others package them now is more of a
sugar.
Right.
Americans love sugar. You want to make a great pizza dough?
Yeah.
Just throw a bunch of sugar in it.
It's a shareable dish now, right? Nobody orders it as a side vegetable. No one gets it. It's like part of the appetizers.
Right.
Healthy appetizers.
Right.
But when they put all that sugar in it, not so much. So I will wok them and I will add some garlic and some onions maybe or whatever.
You're making me want Brussels sprouts right now.
Some colored peppers just for different color, and I will just heat those really high, get them crisp, and then I will deglaze with an IPA, and that's.
Did you do that for Thanksgiving?
I did. That's usually what I usually. That's my beer to drink the rest of it after I've deglazed the pan. So that's one. Beer is directly in that.
Beer is directly in your Brussels sprouts.
Right. The second one I've been doing lately, and I didn't do it this year because someone else, we parted out who got to do what this year, which was a great relief. I didn't realize how much extra stuff I was doing. It was like a lot of the side dishes would just sit there and it'd be like literally the last 15, 20 minutes. It's just panic and you're trying to get everything going and all that stuff. But is to take some of the cranberries, just heat them up, sugar, sugar, cinnamon stick, some zest, right? But that I will pour.
Lemon zest?
Yes. Yeah. That I will pour some sour beer of some point, of some type. And it's especially great if you've sat on a sour beer too long. Some of them are okay to sit around a while, and some of them aren't. But even if it's a little oxidized, that is exactly what that's for, because you're not going to pick up the oxidation,
right?
And it will add this other layer of complexity to it.
Huh.
So I literally add beer to my Brussels sprouts for bitterness, and I add the sour beer for acidity. Yeah. So, so if you take those two ideas, that's what you should be finishing with some of your dishes if you want to. But like the beer brine thing is just a lot. It was great because we all have beer that probably is a little long in the tooth, but maybe not as much as you need to beer brine. And maybe, you don't have the time and
Know how I mentioned the Four Peaks Kilt Lifter 5%
Yeah.
that they have up there?
yeah.
I bought one of those
Yeah. Okay. And
because I was going to make bread with it, which
Oh.
I did.
there's another application.
I made 2 loaves of bread while I was there. One on Wednesday night. Yeah. So that my family would have something on Thursday. We didn't stay at the Airbnb.
Right.
We stayed at my friend's house, but so the family could have some bread in the morning. So I made Irish soda bread basically
Right.
on that night, and then I made some on Thursday night as well.
Nice.
And then they had more bread. Yeah.
Great.
So that's where I put my bread in, my beer in my Thanksgiving meal was right there. Booyah. Oh no, I made that bread for Thanksgiving dinner. The second one. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a beer there that's a light German Pilsner called Brewski. BREWSKI. And it's all skiing themed.
Gotcha.
Get it?
Yes.
Brew.
Ski.
Ski. Yeah. Skoden. So that was my
Isn't
beer
it like
value.
brewski, eat, sleep, something like that?
Yeah.
Live, love.
I shared some Arizona
Laugh.
wines with my family.
Nice.
Wasn't that nice of them and
Yes.
me
Yes.
to bring it all the way up?
Yeah. Were they appreciated and enjoyed? Or they just get lost in the mix?
I think they got lost in the mix.
Yeah. This is
Well, there was a Viognier
yeah.
because my mom wanted white, and that's really not a great example of my mom wants a white wine.
Right.
But that's the only white we had here in the beer office. And then a couple reds that were very nice. Yeah, I liked them.
Yeah, I think the Reds do better here. But
Graciela?
I was talking to somebody who knows wine better than I do. This is a Oro Sour Child Series Watermelon Lime. Oh, you got some floaties. Huh. I was talking to somebody who knows wines better than I do, and they said, yeah, basically the things that people like are those white wines. Here, he's like, basically take an Argentinian wine or Australian, and that's what people enjoy. But they could be challenged by some of the things that our
Sure.
wineries offer
Sure.
that are different than that. So I think there was a period when, I think there's more white wines. I think there's more experimentation by Arizona wineries, whiter wines these
Cool.
days. So
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Utah Pint Day.
okay, sure,
So this weekend was Utah Pint Day
Right.
weekend. Started Black Friday, went through Saturday and Sunday. As if you go in, you pay $5 for the glass
Yeah.
and then whatever else to fill your glass. I don't know how much it costs. Different breweries, all the breweries
right,
could charge whatever they want
Right.
for the beer or the glass or whatever. It
Right.
doesn't matter.
right,
I went to the Facebook page of the Utah Craft Brewers Guild on Saturday when we were making our plans because we were going to leave town Saturday, drive to Kanab and then sleep. And then I didn't want to drive the whole 12 hours. It's just annoying,
right,
especially with the pupper. So I want to go to Roja Brewing because Roja Brewing has dog-friendly inside,
wow,
but they were out of pint glasses. So instead we went to Fisher and they had a nice patio. It wasn't windy at all. The sun was on us. We had our little jackets. It was still nice. It was snowing.
right,
No, not on Saturday, on Friday. But yeah, it was super nice. And so they did a really great social media campaign of where you can get them and then updated it Saturday morning. Here are the places we know still have them.
right.
We can't guarantee they have them when you show up, but as of late last night, these are the ones that tell us they still have them. That's so cool. I walked in and I said to the lady, the nice lady, hey, do you have any Utah Pint Day glasses? And she's like, I sure do. And then 5 people at the bar were like, what's that?
You are the perfect customer.
I said, well, that's the whole reason I'm here is because I want to get one of those Utah Pint Day glasses and support the Craft Brewers Guild. She's like, for sure. What do you want in it? And I got a Beet Saison.
Beet Saison. I love
It's
those.
so freaking glorious, man.
That's a great combination.
Oh, so good. And my sweet wife, who doesn't like beets at all, and this was beet flavored Saison, trust me. She got a pale ale, which was fantastic
Nice.
until the dog spilled it. But actually, the dog didn't spill it. We spilled it, but it's the dog's fault.
Well, since you broached the subject, we know that Colorado has a good program for this Pint Day. We know that Georgia has the one that they started. It seems to be pretty popular. I think Colorado is the longest running. I think it's like a decade.
Wow.
Something like that, or close,
cool.
8 years. Who else have I seen? Well, we have the Georgia one over there behind us. But we don't have that here.
We should.
We're looking at it
We could do it on,
next year.
yeah, but like...
Repeal Day,
yeah, Repeal Day. Isn't
Yeah.
that April?
December 5th.
Oh, well, I don't want to do that. That's too close. I want to do it in spring.
Why do you want it too close to what?
What?
What is it too
Well,
close
it's
to?
too close to do it this year.
Well, yeah.
So I'm saying I don't want to wait until next December.
I think that there's a lot to consider in terms of planning because that's what I want to. I mean, first of all, we all have to agree on a design.
You and I think we
Well,
could
but we need to
agree
get
on
some-
one.
We need to get acceptance for people. Here's the thing: Arizona is a great state for beer because it has enjoyed beers from across the world for a long time because of the flexible brewery model here. Even when breweries started up, so imagine, we are definitely behind the West Coast when they started their breweries in the 80s.
Right.
I mean, if you want to count Anchor.
Ours was like late 90s.
Yeah. And because there was kind of a land rush and there was a lot of let's get open, as you have pointed out, like a lot of those places closed within a year. There was a big die-off in the 90s. But we came to enjoy beers from other places, California in particular, sometimes from other places because of the transplant community here. Some things stuck. And it gave everybody a great base of a variety of beers that maybe they didn't have. And
appreciation.
right.
Yeah.
So, and once we did get breweries up here, you had to compete against that. So it made us a more robust, slower growing, more robust. And I think, now we're seeing the fruits of that in that, I'm drinking a couple of beers from Oro that have won World Beer Cup medals and GABF medals.
Arizona Craft Beer Awards medals.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Monday is going to be Arizona Award-winning Beer Day on the Guild social media. Every Monday,
yeah.
post about beers that have won awards from Arizona.
I'm not going to hold you to that. That sounds like a lot of work, but
No, why?
okay.
We have plenty of lists of beers. Plus, I mean, just doing the beers from the Arizona Craft Beer Awards, if I were to do...
That's 90 beers. That's 90 weeks.
That's a lot of weeks, man.
I'm just kidding.
It's enough weeks for...
Yeah, 2 years.
At least for this week.
Anyway, why was I even talking?
What?
So because we had all this out of state influence and distributor support, mostly for out of state, but then it came to be our brands as well, Arizona brands. But we had a inordinate amount of glassware shipped to us from these breweries to promote those beers, and I don't know if that's the case any longer. So maybe the time is right, but for a while, there was so much glassware out there. And if you were marginally involved in the beer scene here, you just were like, no, I don't want any more glass.
I can't take any more. Yeah, totally.
You know, especially the shaker pint, which most of the choices on these, most of the glassware in these programs is not a shaker pint. It's a Willie Becker
style.
It's got a little bit of shape to it, but you do want a nice flat medium.
Uh-huh.
So all the, you know, super high end
Heku and
beer glasses, even this, you know, there's you limit your printing area by those, so it has to be sort of like that. And it kind of, you know, in Arizona, it's kind of reminiscent of the gas station glassware that you used to get. Like if you pump so much gas, you get a free glass, and there is a very collectible desert set of glassware that was out in the 60s. So cool. I mean, you know, and that's really what a lot of these are. They're like a triptych of the state, like landscape, trying to capture the entire state in 360 degrees. So the reason that I was not really high on it when I started, and I, you know, actually Shawnee from Colorado, it's like, why don't you guys do this? I'm like, I just don't know if we're there yet, because there's so much free glassware out there.
Yeah.
So it has to have a little bit of a cachet and all that stuff. But for this to be a non-losing proposition for everybody involved, everybody's got to be on the same page. And the breweries have to say, I'm in this program and I am committing to this amount of glassware.
Yes.
And these deals are made and broken by how much the volume of glassware that you order.
Right.
And how many distribution points, ideally one, because every last mile is a burden on everything else. So I think where most states can justify it is if, I don't know what the glassware number is, but the breweries have to pay about $1 a glass. And then they have to sweeten the deal by either saying the glass is free just because we're going to get rid of 100 of these, or we've got 200 and you need to buy a beer and we'll discount the beer, like some combination of that. And the coordination of that with, I don't know, what's your first swag on this? Who'd be involved? I know there's a couple breweries that have asked about it, and I said, all right, well, we need to work on the design, and all this other stuff. I explained, and like, we just haven't put a task force in place to get that done. But how many breweries do you think, just off the top of your head, and where would they be? How many would be in this program? Because I think it needs to be at least 25.
I would think we could get at least 30 breweries involved.
Right.
It would take you and I making phone calls to those people.
Yeah.
Like specifically, hey, you.
Right.
Like Jamie at Barrio. Hey, can you be the drop-off point for these glasses so other breweries can come and pick up?
Right.
And be involved in the project. And you know they do it.
I know that brewery would do it in particular. And it's just, as we experience, you know, some of these promos that we do, like if it doesn't
that brewery could be our Northern Arizona.
You know, what brewery?
That brewery.
Second Base.
They have a nice big warehouse. Yeah. They're super involved with the guild.
Thought you were doing
help anytime.
You're doing the Abbott and Costello thing.
I wasn't. Oh.
You can have some of this. This is watermelon lime sour, or I have the Super Award medal winning Trigo Suave, which is a sort of an orangey. I just got all these from Oro.
You're great.
Watermelon for me. Anyway, it's all this is dependent on the last mile. So breweries have to acknowledge that they are part of the program. They have to do social media posts to promote it. The whole logistics things about like, hey, day 2, I need to hear some numbers from where these are still available. So that whole thing has been difficult for us after the pandemic to get that chain of command communication thing.
That line of communication going, yeah.
Right, because we got people signing up for events and not letting the rest of their teams know, or like not the right person. So everybody knows except the actual
Yeah.
main cog.
Like the bartender.
Yeah.
It's that last mile thing again.
Yeah, right.
So the owner signs up.
Right.
The manager gets the instructions.
Right.
And the bartender's there on Friday morning like, I don't know what you want me to do.
Right.
I've seen it happen so many times.
So in the case of the Utah thing, it took you to go and say, hey, I'm here to do this. Like, I would
and
presume.
all those people at the bar
Right.
then bought one.
Right.
But would not have known about it.
Right. So the bartender literally, hey, how you doing? We got this glass promo going on right now. You might want to take a look at it. There's a poster there. Here's what the glass looks like. That's all it takes.
You know what else is
You know what
nice?
this is? This is back to hospitality, sir. This is telling people how to add value to what.
Preach it.
Yeah. All right.
Preach it.
So I'll make the commitment to do this, but this is what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can understand why I didn't just say, we're doing it, and then like printing a bunch of glassware, and yeah, we can do this. We can do this. But we need some help.
Yeah.
Yes, there's the Georgia.
One of the coolest things about this whole program, and there is a particular glass manufacturer who is marketing this program to guilds and anyone. But what I really like is the color options are huge.
Yeah,
Oh, God, I just smacked into something.
that's the year before.
So
Georgia.
we've got, I don't know where to put it. What am I gonna do?
No. What do you? I have to be talking.
Start
all right, yeah. So that's the Georgia one. I don't know which year is which, but they're obviously celebrating the state bird, flower. I don't know. I'll have to find some of the more ones that are triptych. That's obviously the outdoor themes, which we could do all day, every day. And we try to incorporate that into our a lot of our posters. We have for Beer Week, we have the saguaro to the pine tree kind of triptych landscape kind of thing. So I'm into it. Let's do it.
I like the designs are so cool. The one from Utah has cherries. I didn't know they're a big cherry state.
Huh. Yeah, I suppose.
Surprise to me.
They've got elevation, so they could probably do as many things as anyone else. I think it's just elevation changes the climate. I don't think that they need a freeze. Apples need a freeze. Couple things need a freeze to.
It freezes in Utah a lot.
Right, but I don't think it's required because Washington State, I don't think necessarily they're. I mean, no, it snows there, but I don't know if there are grow areas where it needs a freeze.
Well, this was my second Thanksgiving in Salt Lake in a row,
Yeah,
and it snowed both times.
yeah.
And the locals are now they're requesting that we return because they want snow every Thanksgiving.
Nice. I will tell you to round off this episode.
Yeah.
I did have a very nice beer I did go to Flagstaff briefly. I had some family in town. They wanted to see our place up there. We didn't get a lot done. We didn't go all these places per se. We did go to on the way up, we went to Lazy G in Prescott, talked to Jean-Marie and Jim for a little bit, had some appetizers, drank some of their award-winning beers because we wanted to show those off. And then we went to, we had some time to have a beer at Dark Sky, and I had a Grodziskie, which is a smoked wheat, and they added, I ordered it, and then when I ordered it, I'm like, oh, it's got jalapeno and habanero, and I know, I'm like, this could really go south. But it was really a light touch. Listen, I can eat hot foods like anybody's business, and you get the endorphin rush, I get that, but that's not really what I want in a beer normally, And I know there's this whole macho thing about hot foods. Go to any hot sauce thing, and like they go there, man. They go there with how it goes in, how it comes out, like it's a very
burn your butthole brown sauce.
Yeah, so I was trepidatious, and I had it. It was very nice, very nice.
A light touch.
Yeah. Although with smoke, and there are some people who who's like, yeah, that's not really burn your mouth hot. It's great, but they didn't like the smoke combination with the heat, the slight heat. But I thought it was great.
Adobo sauce? Like, do they not like that?
No, I don't know. Yeah. I bet a lot of people who like the adobo sauce, they don't even realize it's smoked pepper, right? So my hat is off on that beer. I don't usually highlight a beer, but
cool.
When you only have like one or two.
So at Fisher, I also got, I got a 4-pack of their Fresh Hop IPA, which was 6.2%.
Yeah.
So they didn't go crazy on it, but it was packaged, and I took that and had that when we got to our room and a big, fat, greasy burger from a drive-in called Big Al's in Kanab. And it was really freaking good.
Nice.
I wanted that burger so bad, and it was just right. It was 40 minutes wait from the time you got to the counter, ordered it, and it came up. And this is a fast food joint.
Sure.
Wow.
The last burger that I remember, we shared this burger, was at BRI. They had the green chili burger with lots of mustard, and they toast the bun, which is important on burgers to me. Very good. Anyway.
Went in, saw the sign said 35-minute wait, and I was like, ooh, yeah, we can't wait that long. So I had Bonnie go in. First we went and looked for another place, and we just both wanted a burger, and that looked like the place.
Right.
She went in, ordered. We took her and the dog home. Then I came back and picked up the burger, and it was busier than when I was there earlier. And this is like 6:30.
Yeah.
And there's this huge line to order. I was so glad we got our order in and I could just pick it up. I was like, is there one up for Andrew yet? She's like, they were pretty burned out, the people that were working there. There weren't a ton of smiles. I tried so hard to make her smile, and I failed. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so kind of you. Thank you. Oh, hope you have a great night. She looked back at me.
You're making it worse.
Yes. She's like, stop talking, idiot. Kind of like my wife said every single minute of this trip.
All right, well, stop talking, idiot, because we're gonna shut this. We're gonna shut this show down. We went a little longer than I wanted to, but that's okay.
All right. All right.
This is not a beer podcast. This is not a
beer podcast. It's a podcast about beer.
There you go.
And
sometimes the beer finds you.
It does.
Cheers.
Goodness. Cheers.